Hey guys, this is a daily tarot reading for Sunday, November 23rd, 2025. I'm going to do a 3-card spread, the past leading up to today, present energy, and the future. I use all different decks to get kind of a unique feel for each energy that wants to come through. And I do an oracle message that gives us a theme for the day. So the first deck we are going to use for the past position is the Ephemer deck by True Black. This is an independent deck that I may have to look in the guidebook to see how it corresponds to the traditional tarot. I like to shuffle and let the cards and the energies pick themselves. So whatever card falls out and wants to make itself known, that is the energy I go with. I trust the what looks like chaotic energy, but really is the hand of the universe and the divine picking the energy for us. So this card is called Summon. I am going to have to look in the guidebook to see what summon corresponds to, but you can see a woman holding a sword with some kind of gilded text behind her and some sort of gilded crown above her head, and she's kind of floating. She looks um, almost like a divine messenger or spiritual warrior of some kind. We'll get into that after we pick all of the cards. The next deck for the present energy, this is a version of the Rider-Waite Tarot, the traditional tarot deck. It's just gilded. So it's the exact same imagery as the traditional Rider-Waite Tarot, which everyone is kind of familiar with, but gilded. So this that flipped is the Six of Cups in reverse for the present energy. And the future card, I am going to use a deck called the Weaver Tarot, which is another indie deck that I love with some very unique artwork that is also gilded. I believe these were all hand-drawn, and they're just so beautiful, and they give such a sort of otherworldly kind of metaphoric cosmic layer to the messages. So this is for the future position. Again, I'm shuffling kind of poorly and letting the energies pick themselves. This card, sometimes this happens, came out stuck to another card. So the card that came out on top, the primary energy, is the Conqueror of Coins reversed. I'm going to have to look in the guidebook to see what the Conqueror corresponds to. I'm not sure if it's the Knight. It's probably the Knight, but I have to double check on that. And the Four of Cups reversed, again with some non-traditional imagery, came out stuck underneath this card. So I'm going to take them as one, put them down here in the future position. The last thing I'm going to do is have the oracle cards pick themselves. The deck I want to use. All right, this is the Della Luna Answers Oracle deck. And we're going to let the cards pick one energy as the theme for Sunday, November 23rd of 2025. Sunday, November 23rd, we're looking for one card to flip or catch or fall or make itself known. One card, there it is. We will overcome this. Again, this came out recently, even after a full shuffle earlier this week. And as I was looking at the bottom of the deck, casually, sometimes this happens where something just is striking that I happen to accidentally look at. So I'm going to take a second card, almost as a clarifier. Changes will be made, and this is showing a woman in a meditative pose with all of her chakras lit up and the sun kind of radiating both behind and sort of out of her. So that's very positive. We will overcome this and changes will be made. So not just we'll overcome this, haha, but we'll overcome this and positive changes will be made. So let's look in the guidebook to see in this spread what's happening that we need to overcome. Again, it's we will overcome this, so we could refer to two people, or it could refer to, as I kind of found out in the first time I read this card earlier in the week, sort of you and the universe. So looking for the guidebook. So this non-traditional deck is an indie deck by this person who calls themselves True Black, and they do make a couple of different decks. This one's like the white gilded deck, and there's a black one that's beautiful as well. So Summon says in the guidebook, calling, duty, responsibility, mission. So I wasn't far off when I said it looked like some kind of spiritual warrior or messenger. This is clearly pointing to some kind of spiritual calling, perhaps that you feel called to communicate or fight or stand up for. It's kind of reminding me of the Justice, yeah. So as the major arcana in the traditional tarot, this card is supposed to be the Justice card. So all of the things that I thought were happening are happening, which is great. I love when that happens. A figure descends from above. At her feet lies a bed of fennel, the ancient flower which grew on the fields of Marathon, Greece. There, over 2,000 years ago, a fabled messenger ran until his dying breath to fulfill his duty. She offers a gleaming blade on her outstretched palms. Her sword, sharp as the light reflected from the sun, recalls the virtues of wisdom and strength, the wisdom to know what is right and the strength to carry it out. It is the sword of duty, and we are summoned to it. Hovering above the woman's brow, a bifurcated crown, I have never heard that word, serves as a poignant reminder of the dual nature of justice, on one half flourishing, on the other half wilting. At times it gives us what is owed, and at others it asks for sacrifice. Summon is a call to arms, a mandate to rise, engage, and actively contribute to the shared fate of humankind. The world is shaped not by dreams, but by actions. Here we are called to action. Letter in gold, letters are written upon a note from the Salem Witch Trials, a dark reminder of the miscarriage of justice. This script reminds us to evaluate our own definitions of justice. What will future generations think of the judgments passed today? Upright, Summon urges you to move from passive dreaming to active action and manifestation. The blindfolded figure demands discernment and unbiased judgment. Her balanced sword resonates with the imperative of clear intent, highlighting that dreams, while beautiful, demand conscious effort to become reality. Wow. So actually this person who made this deck is from the Boston area. And I'm from the Boston area. So cool. It doesn't surprise me that he would use the Salem Witch Trials as a depiction of justice. So pretty cool justice card, kind of with flavors of like epic, Joan of Arc, spiritual warrior, even like Christ-like imagery with this sort of crown of like what could be thorns and this kind of floating almost almost like a suggestion of a crucified witch, kind of that kind of flavor. So what we have here is some really interesting themes that wouldn't be in the ordinary justice card. So the ordinary justice card shows the scales of balance of karma between light and dark, and this one is like holy warrior version of that. And the whole theme was also kind of this cross between like knowing what's right and wrong, like morality, and also then like taking action, almost like a what's the word? Um, Protester, activist. Yeah, it's like activism. It's like spiritual activism. So this card kind of resonates for me, given my background as a spiritual teacher and a feminist activist, and kind of seeing it all combined literally into the Salem Witch Trials version of a justice card is pretty epic. So I'm kind of seeing this figure as you in the past, and as the energy leading up to today is like sort of like taking the mantle or being called to take up the mantle of almost like a spiritual warrior in the name of the divine feminine. This is a woman. This is a feminine spiritual warrior, and whether you're male or female, the whole point of the witch trials is the divine feminine kind of being burned at the stake. So, if you've ever heard of the witch wound is this wound we all have inside of us where we fear being burned at the stake for basically being openly spiritual, being a spiritual messenger, being into things like the tarot, ironically, or spirituality, or especially feminine spirituality that deals with things like psychic intuition and angels, demons, tarot, mythology, witches. Like witches were burned because spiritual women were a threat to the patriarchy, to the hierarchical, male dominated religious system. Um, I mean, that's why these witches were crucified. So it's very interesting that the theme of the day is kind of overcoming a hardship. Like, we will overcome this. And also changes will be made, and sort of the suggestion of like we will overcome a difficult situation to make positive changes, and the suggestion that we're going to do so kind of like both of this imagery is sort of spiritual and magical. Like, we're going to overcome this, as I called this card the magician card earlier in the week, where you see these hands kind of spewing magic and holding the universe in them. And here we see something that kind of almost is like reminiscent of like yoga and chakras and inner light coming through spiritual transcendence. So we've got like enlightenment imagery, and it's female again. And the hands kind of have these nails and this sort of like feminine pose. Everything here to me screams like overcoming persecution of the divine feminine, whether it's literally you've been persecuted, excuse me, I don't know what persecute is, persecuted as a divine feminine, or you're a masculine whose inner divine feminine has felt persecuted and it's something you've had to hide, which makes for a toxic masculine. So here in the present moment, we have this Six of Cups reversed. Now, traditionally, the Six of Cups is about, it can be about soulmates, it can be about reunions, it can be about a return of someone from the past. We are in a Mercury retrograde. It can also be about kind of sweet, tender, nostalgic emotions from childhood. In reverse, we're kind of encouraged. In this particular reading of this card, I would say it's encouraging us to not stay stuck in the world of dreamy nostalgia. So dreams themselves are positive, but like nostalgia for the past rather than living in the present, especially with such an intense calling for karmic justice and rebalancing. It's saying don't stay stuck kind of feeling depressed about things that didn't go right in the past. Like, we will overcome this, but not by staying stuck in nostalgia, but by kind of like doing things in the present. Staying present, first of all, is what this card kind of reminds me of, and like doing things, like taking up the mantle, as this justice card suggested. Like we are being called to actually physically stand up for things, whether it's to a current administration or just to people in our lives or just for a cause. We are asked to not stay stuck in things that are either things that didn't go right from the past, or like I'm also getting kind of a Six of Pentacles kind of vibe out of this. Like there's an unequal balance going on between this masculine and feminine energy. So this is like a sort of like the imbalances of the past is what the whole thing is giving me. So don't stay stuck in the imbalances of the past that led to the witch trials. Like, you are being called to stand up for what is right and for what is true and to rebalance the scales. I mean, we all know that the masculine and feminine remain radically out of balance in the world right now. I feel like this whole reading is asking us to either rebalance the feminine within ourselves or rebalance it out in the world. Okay, I'm going to have to look in the guidebook. This Four of Cups, I don't have to look in the guidebook, especially seeing it reversed. The Four of Cups is another card about being like dissatisfied and regretful and like bored and like emotionally disengaged, but reversed as it came out. It's saying not as you move forward, not to focus on those things. So it's sort of like reinforcing this kind of like, don't stay stuck in what didn't go wrong in the past. And as you move into the future, also don't stay in a dissatisfied, bored, grumpy. I'm not getting the right word, but I'll get it in a minute. Like, don't stay in that kind of resentful. If I keep saying words, like, maybe I will get the word that I'm actually looking for. But in the meantime, I do want to find. I opened directly to the Four of Cups, which I wasn't going to read because I know what the Four of Cups means. But now that I opened directly to the Four of Cups, we are going to read it and try not to have cards flying all on my face. Yeah, Four of Cups. Lack of interest, isolating. When the Four of Cups finds you, it's an indication that while you may have opportunities flowing to you, you are rejecting them and are stuck in a negative mental space. The woe is me and judging things before really giving them a chance can be found within the Four of Cups. It is possible that you are simply focusing on yourself and are not ready to focus on anything external. The outside world may seem boring to you and you're exploring your internal landscape for fulfillment. Sometimes we tell ourselves we are doing one thing because of such and such, but we are not able to see the clear picture. We may actually be retreating out of fear instead of self-care. When you think about any opportunities that may be at your feet, do you feel apprehension or a neutral no? Examine where you find yourselves. If it's reversed, the Four of Cups indicates someone who, after a period of withdrawal, is working their way back into the world. There is a sense of a new beginning, and the universe will be opening up new people, new places, and new experiences for you. So, essentially, positive moving forward. And I do want to find this Conqueror of Coins. We got Wands, Cups, Swords, Coins. Seven of Coins, Ruler of Coins, Seeker of Coins. Okay, so the Conqueror of Coins, yeah. The Conqueror of Coins is the Knight of Pentacles. Traditionally, the Knight of Pentacles is the slowest moving knight of the deck. He's depicted on a horse that's not moving, holding a pentacle, and he's wearing a knight costume. So his description is that he is grounded, hardworking, and routine. The Conqueror of Coins is driven and methodical. They bring an energy of rigorous routine and trusting the process. The Conqueror understands that they may not see instant results, and they're okay with that. They feel good with gradual forward motion. Sometimes the Conqueror may seem boring, but in reality there is a freedom that comes with their routine and work ethic. If you are embodying the qualities of the Conqueror, that is great. Keep it up and you will see the success you crave. If you have not developed your discipline, it's a good time to create a routine for yourself with firm boundaries. Now is not the time to try other methods. Go with what has been proven to work. Reverse, the Conqueror of Coins signals a need for structure. We make progress through consistent focus and work. Showing up for that creates the container that allows us to build the energy around our project. Don't lose sight of your vision. Go after it and build brick by brick. So I'm getting a little bit of a different interpretation off of a reversed Conqueror of Coins, because there are some negative attributes to the Conqueror of Coins. Too slow. They can move so slow that they're standing still. And in this case, I'm seeing an additional layer of meaning with this kind of sword piercing a moon with some what looks like roots. So I'm seeing kind of an urge to move a little quicker, to take this sword that we're seeing that's sort of been handed to you in the past. Again, the sword could be either a suggestion for a type of communication. Swords are usually communication, or a cause that you're being asked to take up and to kind of charge forward a little faster. With the Conqueror of Coins reversed, it's asking to take practical steps in the physical world. That's what the suit of coins is. But almost like with this sword and with this reversal, to like charge forward almost with the speed of a Knight of Swords, which is the fastest moving knight in the deck. So it's almost like a Knight of Swords suggestion, like as if you were in this kind of unmoving, slow energy, perhaps coming out of a period of feeling crucified in some sense, or at least having the reason you might have a cause like this one is because of some kind of persecution, whether it's just like emotional or spiritual. I'm not suggesting you were actually persecuted out on the streets, but perhaps by friends, family, people you know casually. The reason you would have like a sort of Salem Witch Trials cause of rebalancing justice is to rebalance the scales, come up out of the nostalgia of what may or may not have happened that you are being asked to kind of spiritually overcome, with almost this like Buddha-esque enlightenment, and create the positive structure and changes you want to see in the world. Create these new emotional opportunities by rebalancing karmic justice. And I guess at the end of the day, what I'm really getting is to use like truth as this sword, like the sword of truth. Speak your truth, speak your spiritual truth specifically, is what I'm getting off the read of this whole spread. It's sort of a nuanced, complex spread that's asking you to come up out of the, I mean, she's not dressed in black. She's not bruised and bloodied. She's in a beautiful gold. She's risen. It's sort of like the Christ who's been crucified and risen, if you want to kind of go into that imagery. Not Christian or Catholic. It's just what it reminds me of with kind of the female version of that. So again, kind of like a Joan of Arc, female Christ figure, rising up out of her persecution. We will overcome this theme and changes will be made. You're the one kind of leading the charge to make those changes, to speak your truth, to rebalance the scales of karmic justice, and to move into the future, kind of using your sword of truth to build positive change in a way that's kind of not focusing on the woe is me nostalgia. Focus more on the mission, focus more on your truth, focus more on, if this was kind of flipped right side up, you see this sort of, this is the, traditionally in the Four of Cups, why you're feeling woe is me is because it's a figure sitting on a hillside with 3 cups in front of them they don't want, and they're missing the Ace of Cups that's being handed to them by the universe. So this is the Ace of Cups. It's kind of, you'd be able to see it with your spiritual sight, with your third eye here, this third eye that's kind of cosmically attached to this sort of cup of freedom, emotional freedom with wings. It's sort of like almost like the heart is visible once you are able to flip the dissatisfaction upside down and move forward with this spiritual mantle that's been handed to you, this spiritual mission of overcoming the witch wound, speaking your truth, standing in your spiritual authority, and really being the justice you want to see in the world. So good for you. See you guys next time.